right, a win is a win. You've got just me for the night. Jim will return tomorrow, I'm told by Jim. So listen to us tomorrow, actually, on John and Jim. We'll get you ready for game 2 of this Padres Marlins series. A win is a win. We'll get into the dynamics of this, but a win is a win. I mean, we've said that so many times. A loss is a loss, a win is a win. No matter how you win, who cares? Padres beat the Marlins. It wasn't easy, but the Marlins have played good baseball. And again, kind of the same old story. Can't score at home. Not good against left-handed starters. Take advantage of miscues and win. So as you make your way in, again, the Padres win game 1 of the series against the Miami Marlins. Please subscribe. We are pushing towards 6,300 subscribers. We need your help. If you're here live or on replay, please subscribe. If you're a Padres fan, we have year-round content for you. Smash the like button. You've heard me say that before. If you've been here before, you can follow me on X at John Schaefer, JONSCHAEFFER. Thank you for the super chats. As you know, doing a solo one-man band show can be a bit of a challenge, so we do appreciate your support of the channel with the super chats. If you want to make sure I see your super chat, if there's anything you want me to react to here tonight, you can click that $ below the chat box. As always, I'll get to every single super chat here tonight. Also, if you want to become a member, get the custom emojis and the badges, you can do so by clicking the join button down below. So Memorial Day, second straight win for the Padres. They go over 500 at 29-28. It wasn't the simplest thing. It wasn't the prettiest thing. But again, I think at the end of the day, who really cares? You get the early home run from Donovan Solano, and then it's 1-1 for forever. And the Padres had opportunities. 6th inning, I think they loaded the bases, didn't score. 5th inning, they had a leadoff double and didn't score. 7th inning, finally capitalizing with Jake Cronenworth walked on a 3-2 pitch to give the Padres a lead they wouldn't relinquish. That made it 2-1. They'd hold on. Robert Suarez again, bullpen again, really good for the Padres. And again, it's a 2-1 win against a team that had been playing good baseball in Miami. I know they're 19-36, but I think they were 9-4 in their last 13 coming in. And their formula for winning recently, Miami's formula, has been pitching. And they got good pitching today, which was actually somewhat surprising because Trevor Rogers has been awful this year. I mean, he came in with like a 6 ERA. Basically, all of his starts had been adventures. And today, not overly surprising, left-handed starter goes 5 1/3 innings and allows just 1 run and works in and out of jams. And the Padres, to their credit, took advantage of errors again. This is what they did yesterday against the Yankees, right? Down 1-0 in the 6th inning. Yankees had a couple of miscues. Gleyber Torres started it, and the Padres capitalized. They scored 4 runs in that inning. In this 7th inning, quote-unquote, rally, there were a couple of awful errors by the shortstop. Who was it? Tim Anderson. I mean, Tim Anderson was gifted a couple of, maybe a double play ball at one point, a put out. I mean, it was almost like Tim Anderson was in on it. He wasn't, obviously, but he played terrible defense in the 7th inning, provided San Diego with not just 1 additional opportunity, but 2 additional opportunities. And finally, they came through when Jake Cronenworth walked, and that was it. I mean, that was the difference in the game. Bases loaded walk after a couple of errors in the inning by Tim Anderson. So again, is it the most inspiring win in the history of the franchise? No, it's probably not. But good teams take advantage of other teams' mistakes, and the Padres have done that the last couple of days. And what I do like right now is that back end to this bullpen with Estrada and Suarez is about as good as it's going to get in baseball. I mean, you've got just elite bullpen pitching right now. Robert Suarez, his 16th save, lowering his ERA to 0.73. I thought Yuki Matsui was excellent in this game. A couple of strikeouts in the 8th. Adrian Morejon is all of a sudden becoming like your 3rd highest leverage pitcher potentially in your bullpen, isn't he? Like, he's emerging, kind of like Morejon. Kind of like Estrada has emerged. I think we're seeing Adrian Morejon emerge. He's got a 2.08 ERA. He went 2 hitless innings here today, picked up his first win, I think, since 2022. And then offensively, Arraez a hit. Tatis has been going through it, but had a hit here today. Profar was 0 for 10 in the Yankee series, had a hit today and a walk. Machado a hit. Like, everyone had a hit, essentially. And Merrill was 0 for 3, then had a hit late. Solano had the big hit of the day for the Padres, hit a home run, his first in a Padres uniform against his former team. Machado had a hit. So he had 8 hits overall. Again, they're never going to really be, this isn't baseball's best power hitting team, but they did hit a home run. It was a big one, obviously, in a 2-1 game. Jake Cronenworth had a leadoff double that was stranded in this game against Trevor Rogers. And again, enough offense, enough capitalizing on mistakes. Really good relief pitching, really good Robert Suarez again in the ninth inning, and the Padres win over the Marlins, despite going 0 for 10 with men in scoring position in front of like 40,000 people. Like, you think about all the struggles they've had at home, and we've had every theory under the sun, like literally under the sun, like they played here today. And, left-handed starters they can't hit. Petco Park, they can't hit. They're under 500 at home. Like, it wasn't a great formula. The only thing that was working to their advantage was a day game. Padres are like invincible in day games, specifically at home, and they've been horrific in night games. This is technically a day game. It started at 3:40. These two teams combined to go 0 for 16 with men in scoring position. You heard me right. They combined to go 0 for 16 with men in scoring position. The Padres won a game where they were 0 for 10 with men in scoring position. I mean, it's been a struggle to score. It has been a struggle to score. You think about this homestand, the blowout losses to the Yankees, the way they win yesterday was taking advantage of errors. I mean, and that 4-run inning they had yesterday, guys, you saw it, you watched it. The only ball that left the infield that was a hit was Luis Arraez with a single up the middle. But again, I feel like something that the 2023 team didn't do is what the 2024 team is doing. They're taking advantage of other teams' miscues, and they're kind of small balling their way to larger innings. That wasn't necessarily the case here today, although they had chances in the 6th and 7th inning, but it was absolutely the case yesterday where Gleyber Torres commits an error and then the floodgates open. There's walks. There was an infield hit from Fernando Tatis Jr. There was a really good drag bunt. And here today, it was just, a combination of things. The errors by Tim Anderson, a timely walk from Jake Cronenworth, and that was the difference against this Miami team. I mean, the good news is this. Miami, again, is the type of team you score 2, 3, 4 runs against, and you've put yourself in a position where you can win. The bad news is they just have had no success against left-handed pitching, even bad left-handed pitching like Trevor Rogers. So it's not going to get easier necessarily in the final 2 games of the series, I don't think. Jesus Luzardo is a very good left-handed pitcher. His numbers are solid so far this year. And then let's see, game 3 of the series, you're going to see for the Marlins, Braxton Garrett, who's a 26-year-old left-hander who's only made like a couple of appearances so far this year. So maybe that works out to the Padres' advantage. I said yesterday after the Yankees series loss, just go win the series against the Marlins. I mean, a sweep would be nice, and a sweep is coming for the Padres. Like, they have not had a sweep of any length this year. No 3-game sweeps, no 4-game sweeps. I don't think they've had a 2-game series sweep. So no sweeps all year long. So hopefully a sweep is coming. Maybe this is the time. I'm not going to necessarily get my hopes up right now. As badly as the Padres have struggled to score at Petco and as poorly as they've played against left-handed starters this year, but maybe at some point it's just going to happen, whether they do it organically, like they play good baseball, or they quote-unquote stumble into it. I could argue that if they sweep this series, maybe they're stumbling into it because of even what happened here today with the Miami defensive miscues leading to the go-ahead and eventual winning run scoring for the Padres. But we'll see what happens tomorrow night and then Wednesday afternoon. Then the Padres are back on the road. They're off Thursday, right? Yeah. They'll have the day off Thursday. Then they'll be in Kansas City as they've now opened this 19-game stretch. We talked about this last night. They've opened a 19-game stretch, which is very appealing to the eye. Like, on paper, the Padres need to win a lion's share of these games. How many? Well, they're 1-0 to start it. Their only quote-unquote tough series is against Kansas City on the road coming up this weekend at Kauffman. Kansas City's been great this year. They're 34-21. But after that, I mean, it really does soften. I think you have the Angels in Anaheim. They do. Then you've got Arizona at home. Arizona's played better baseball, but again is, under 500 right now. And then you have the A's at home. And then after that, you've got the Mets in New York. I mean, those are your next 19 games. So, nobody's saying you got to go 15-4. It'd be nice. But, 12-7 over those 19 games, you're 5 games over 500. I mean, they haven't been 5 games over 500 since when? 2022? Some point in 2022 is the last time they were 5 games over 500. So a win is a win, and taking advantage of a soft schedule is a good thing. And hopefully they can do it because they haven't necessarily done it against quote-unquote poor teams or bad teams or under 500 teams this year. They've been good against good. They haven't been as good against bad, although they did win today against Miami. So that's the 30,000-foot view, just kind of off the top where this team is right now, which is a game over 500, 57 games into the year. I think it's It's a fine spot to be in. You could argue it's a good spot to be in, considering what's to come here over the next 18 or 19 games, where I do think it's realistic to ask for this team to do something like play 11-8 or 12-7 baseball, even better perhaps. But let's just say 12-7, which is 11-7 from here on out, with the schedule that I just told you about, with the series coming up. You do that, you look up, and you are securely in one of those wild card spots. How securely? I would think a couple of games, 2, 3, 4 games potentially, in terms of your standing in the wild card. If you can go 12-7 over those 19 games and move to 5 games over 500. I think if you look at the National League and the state of it, and there's a lot of teams that are bunched up. I think when the season ends, the last wild card team in the National League will not have the same record or won't have as good of a record as the last team in the American League. And that was the case last year, and it looks like it's playing out again here in 2024. And nobody can predict the actual record, final record of that third wildcard team, and they may not be the third wildcard team. They could be the first or second wildcard team. There's that much baseball to be played, and there's of course the outside shot that the Dodgers, who knows, stumble at some point. I know they had lost 5 straight coming into today. Did they play today or not? I have no idea if the Dodgers played. I know not everyone in baseball played today, so someone can put that in the chat if they know. I'm going to look actually right now. The Dodgers were postponed in New York against the Mets earlier today. So they've lost 5 straight. Padres with a win today are 5 games out in the NL West. Again, do I have a lot of optimism that the Padres are going to hang around in the division for 6 months? No, if I'm being honest, probably not. Do I think the Padres are going to win 95 games? No, if I'm being honest, probably not. Do I think the Dodgers will win fewer than 95 games? Again, if I'm being honest, probably not. But they've proven to be human at times this year. They're good. They're 11 games over 500. So they've played well, but they haven't played to what the expectations were heading into the year. Expectations heading into the year were maybe this is one of the best teams ever constructed in baseball history, right? You hear people say 115 wins, which is crazy, 110 wins. That becomes less likely now that you're 33-22, which again, by most team standards, probably the other 29 teams, would be a very good start. I know the Yankees have played better than that. I know the Phillies have played better than that. But again, I'm not going to rule it completely out, but that's not what I'm looking at right now. Even with this 19-game stretch, I'm not looking at, hey, if you go 15-4, maybe you can catch the Dodgers, maybe, but I'm not worried about doing that right now. It's like baby steps right now. Win a series against the Marlins. Shoot, win tomorrow. We can talk about a sweep on Wednesday if you win tomorrow. From there, see if you can continue to play well on the road, even against good teams like Kansas City. Can you win a series in Kansas City? And then from there, it sets up really nicely, where you've got the Anaheims and you have the Oaklands and you've got the Mets and even the D-backs at home. Like, you've put yourself in a position where if you can somehow finagle the next 2 series, this one specifically against Miami, and then go to Kansas City and win a series, and you'd be sitting really pretty early in June is what you'd be doing if you're able to do that. So we'll see if they can or not. But again, a good enough start today. It was very losable. It didn't feel as if they were necessarily going to win this game if you watched it, considering how many opportunities they wasted in this game. But guess what? At the end of the day, they won the game. And you've heard me say this a lot with San Diego State broadcasts over the years, whether it's football or men's basketball. It's not a beauty contest. Nobody cares at the end of the season if you struggled in wins or beat people 10-0. Now, it can be an indicator. Oftentimes, they would say run differential is an indicator over the course of 162. But then again, it wasn't last year for the Padres, who had that really good run differential, but didn't have a good overall record. All right, if you're here, and there's a couple of hundred of you here right now, please subscribe. Try to get to 6,300 subscribers by the time Jim gets back from his wedding. That's our collective wedding gift to Jim. So if you are here and you have not subscribed, please subscribe. We need to get to 6,300 subscribers by the time Jim gets back on the show. I don't even know if we'll be here if we don't hit 6,300 subscribers. Please subscribe. Year-round exclusive content for Padres fans in season and out of season. Hit that like button for us if you wouldn't mind. Follow me on X if you wouldn't mind, at John Schaefer, JONSCHAEFFER. Appreciate the super chats. I'll get to them throughout the course of the show. You can click the $ below the chat box. Appreciate the memberships as well. You can click the join button down below. You get emojis, badges, more. You support the channel, and you support our title sponsor, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance, who has been with us since day one, truly, since day one of the wrap-up show, which I think started on YouTube in August or September of 2021 and started on the radio in the spring of 2020 during the pandemic season. So this is the 5th season of the wrap-up show, 3rd plus season, I think, on YouTube, and 5th season overall. Mark's been with us through it all. He's a great insurance agent. You can take that from me. I've got life insurance and homeowners insurance and earthquake insurance through Mark. He can save you so much money. And if you ever have a claim, he could literally save you thousands of dollars. But it's about so much more than that. He's just a good insurance agent. He is always there for you. He can help with anything that you need. I know nothing when it comes to insurance policies. And anytime I have a question, Mark gets back to me immediately and we talk about it and he takes care of it, which is an amazing quality to say about an insurance agent. So if you support the channel, Mark's a San Diegan. He's a lifelong Padres fan. He does auto and home and renters and life and earthquake and condo and whatever you need. Just by switching, he could save you $750 or more. So before you renew, or if you're looking for information on a new policy, get in contact with Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance by clicking the link in the description down below. Again, click that link in the description down below. Get a free quote online or call him. He will give you a free quote, and he will also talk to you about the Padres as well. So click that link in the description down below if you support the wrap-up show and have any insurance need, whether it's now or in the future. All right, so back with you here on the wrap-up show as the Padres beat the Marlins today 2-1 down at Petco. Memorial Day. Interesting start time to start a series because it is Memorial Day, the day game. Miami didn't travel far. They traveled from Arizona to begin this 3-game series. So baseball going with the 3:40 start time here today. Tomorrow night, they'll play 6:40. Then Wednesday, they'll play at 1:10. Looking ahead a little bit to tomorrow, you have Matt Waldron, who I think has pitched pretty well here recently for the Padres. Then you have like a familiar name that Padres fans have talked about in terms of like wanting to trade for over parts of the last year, Jesus Luzardo, who's a good young left-handed starter. You know, they got some pieces, by the way. I think Miami's going to sell a lot of them off. And I don't know if AJ Preller's going to get involved between now and the trade deadline 2 months from now, but they still have pieces. Jazz Chisholm, obviously, Jesus Luzardo. Their pitching in general has been very good over the last couple of weeks. Their offense has been anemic, but like Luzardo is, you know, one of their top line pitchers. And again, the way the Padres have struggled against left-handed pitching this year, and you've got Waldron out there, this is a bit of a tricky game, I would say, in general. And I think tells us a lot if the Padres can find a way to win the game because, you know, we've counted Waldron out before, right? I remember to start the road trip, but like Fried against Waldron, give me a break. In Atlanta, like Fried against Waldron. Fried had been dominant in his prior 4 or 5 starts coming in. Waldron can be hit or miss with the knuckleball. Still has an ERA, you know, near 5. I think he's at 4.86 right now. So, you know, we've counted him out before, and he's pitched very well. And I think he's got some confidence right now. I really do. He has really been effective with his knuckleball in recent starts. One of those things that's a little bit out of your control. There's days where it's really good. There's days where it has less bite or more movement and has an extra half turn of rotation or whatever, and that can change everything. So, you know, you're always somewhat dependent on, does he have it? Is the knuckleball knuckling? But when it does work, his knuckleball fastball combination has been really good. Like he's got enough on that fastball that he can really, really make batters look foolish at times. So you've got Matt Waldron, you have Jesus Luzardo, you have a Padres team that is looking to build some momentum. And I think if they win tomorrow, you could say that they have a little bit of it because that would be a 3rd consecutive win. They'd be a couple of games over 500 as well at 30-28. Should be another large crowd because that's what happens at Petco Park. So it's a good opportunity, I would say. And again, if you win tomorrow, then we can have our first real conversation about a sweep this season if they can win tomorrow. So hopefully that happens. And then you look ahead to Wednesday and the Padres throw you Darvish, who's looking to bounce back from that start against the Yankees where he allowed all the, what was it, 3 or 4 home runs early against the Yankees 4 or 5 days ago. But, you know, I'll take my chances again with Darvish, especially against Miami. So that's what you have to come. You got Waldron, and then you have Darvish for this Padres team that, again, is hanging around, I think proving to us day in and day out that hopefully they're not the same team that we witnessed in 2023. You know, a game over 500. So where does that put them right now? Amazingly, that puts them tied for the 2nd wild card, now only a half game better than the Chicago Cubs. So you've got Atlanta 4 games better than the Padres. Again, it's way early, but whatever. This is where we are. You have Atlanta 4 games better than the Padres. You have San Francisco who's played really well, a game over. You have San Diego, a game over. So those would be the last 2 wildcard teams. And then you have the Cubs a half game behind the Padres and the Giants. Then you have the Cardinals, who are a game and a half behind. And then you've got Arizona 2 games back, Pittsburgh 2.5, Washington 2.5, Cincinnati just 3.5 back after they swept the Dodgers, and they've now won 4 consecutive games to get to 24-30. So there's a lot of teams in it. But again, no one, I mean, you got 6, 7 teams that are either a game over 500 to like 4 games under 500. Maybe one of these teams gets hot in the second half of the year and finishes 10, 12, 14 games over 500. But they're basically 2 spots. Like the second wild card is 1 game over 500. The third wild card is 1 game over 500. The team that's, outside looking in is a half game out of 27-27. So I'm not saying 81-81 is going to get you in. I don't think it will. I think ultimately teams will emerge, whether it's the Padres, Giants, Cubs, Cardinals, Diamondbacks, right? But I'm also not saying you're going to need to win 87 games, because I don't think you're going to need to win 87 games. I don't know what the number is going to be. Arizona got in at 84 last year? It's probably going to be in that area. It's probably going to be something like 84. And remember, the Cubs got off to that really good start. All of a sudden, they're 500. Like they were 8, 10 games over 500, and Giants got off to a slow start. All of a sudden, they are over 500. So it'll be fascinating to watch how it develops. And also, I don't think you rule out that top wildcard spot right now, considering the Acuna injury. The Braves are well-rounded. I think the Braves, over the course of 162, should be able to win 90 games. They're probably pacing for that right now at 30-21. Phillies have been the best team in baseball. They've lost a couple here recently. The Dodgers could be one of the best teams in baseball. They've lost 5 straight. So I think the Padres are in a good spot, truthfully. I don't think it's a bad spot. I think they have a lot of work to do. But this is the type of thing where you hover around 500 and you are going to be there until the very end. Like even if they never get going and we look up 60 days from now and they're 60-59 or something like that, they're not going to be buried and out of it. If they're 60-59, the most they'll be out of it in the wild card race is like a game or 2. And they'll still have 40-something games to play. So avoid the long losing streak, hover at or above 500. And again, dare I say, get 5 games over 500. I think you get 5, 6, 7 games over 500. You're going to secure, you're going to not stranglehold a wild card position, but you're going to feel pretty good about it, considering the way the National League has played so far this year. So 29-28. Again, the home struggles are concerning, but they've won the last couple of days. The struggles against left-handed pitching are concerning, but again, they beat a lefty here today. Their struggles against teams under 500 are concerning, but again, they beat a team under 500 here today. So, it's a long way of saying that, I think we feel half decent about where they are. I mean, who agrees, who disagrees with that? Does anyone feel bad about the situation that the Padres are in right now at 29-28? I think people probably feel the opposite of that. As opposed to feeling bad, I think people probably feel good about where they are right now at 29-28. And also, you consider this too. A really tough schedule. I don't have the expanded schedule in front of me. And I know at the end of the year, it's the universal schedule. It's essentially balanced, right? You play everyone in your division when you play teams out of your division, but there's a level of balance. It's universal. You play all teams. But what's unique about the Padres schedule as opposed to other teams is it's been front loaded. They've played good teams off the onset. A lot of games against the Dodgers already. Yankees, Braves, Phillies, Cubs when they were good. They've played good teams. They've played a lot of good teams. Milwaukee. And they've fared very well against good teams. I think that's encouraging. I really do. And I think it tells you about their ceiling and their potential, which they're nowhere near reaching. And I agree with what Manny Machado said yesterday. We talked about this a little bit on the wrap-up show yesterday. I don't think the Padres are anywhere near hitting their ceiling. A couple of reasons I say that. Fernando Tatis Jr. clearly is in a funk, right? If you've been watching, especially in May, he doesn't look like the same player. He's had some moments. He's had some base hits. Hit a home run 3 days ago. Had a, swinging bunt yesterday for a base hit in that 4-run inning. I don't know how he got his hit today. I forget. Had a base hit, though, here today. Actually, it was a hard hit ball. I think through the left side. It was a hard hit ball into the outfield. So, he's hitting a couple of games in a row. Manny Machado, I think, is now hitting 6 consecutive games for the Padres, which is really encouraging. But you got Bogarts on the IL for who knows how long. You've got Machado just beginning to heat up, I'd say, over the last, let's say, 10 to 14 days. And he has played better. But still, the OPS is hovering around 650. Got to get that thing in the 700s sooner rather than later. You've got a Fernando Tatis Jr. who's got a 740 OPS, nowhere near his career average. And you're being carried by guys like Luis Arraez, which is expected. That's why you acquired him. He's going to get on base. He's not going to carry you with power, but he's going to get on base. And Jurickson Profar, who had struggled in that Yankees series. It was nice to see him pick up a base hit, I think, in that run-scoring seventh inning, right? He started the inning with a single. And then Machado had a single in that inning as well, and that started. I think that was the run-scoring inning, unless that was the sixth inning when they left the bases loaded. But it's Profar, Arraez, a little bit of Jackson Merrill in terms of getting on base right now for this team. Some of the newcomers, Solano and Peralta, have had decent starts, and then you're just hoping and wishing that Manny Machado and/or Fernando Tatis Jr. goes on a 10 or 14 game binge where they look like Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado and hit 6 home runs over 13 games, or hit 7 doubles and 4 homers over 11 games and get really hot and carry you to a couple of wins. I think we're still waiting for that. I think Machado's had some moments here recently. I think Tatis has showed a glimmer or two, even though it looks at times like he's lost in the batter's box with way too many swings and misses, although he didn't strike out here today. But that's the state of the offense. But remember what I said yesterday, and I stick by this. It's like oftentimes we spend more time talking about hitting than we do about pitching, right? It's sexier, right? Like, oh, wow. We haven't even mentioned Michael King. Like, I don't even know if I've mentioned him here today. So we'll get to Michael King as well, who was good. He kind of worked through some traffic. He worked around, some circumstances, I guess, in this game. But he struck out 7 in 5 innings and allowed just a solo home run. And again, if you're going to allow a home run, might as well make it solo. So he was good, and he's been good. He's got a 4.09, like, new organization, first year starting, hopefully making 30 plus starts. Like, he's been effective. He's been good. Hasn't been perfect, but you see the top side out of Michael King. It can be really good. 5 innings, 7 strikeouts, 1 run here today in the solo home run. So, King's been good, and Darvish has been good. Outside of that last start against the Yankees, I was encouraged by Joe Musgrove. I think most Padres fans were yesterday by that. Dylan Cease, I know his last couple of outings haven't been as good, but starting pitching is going to carry the day. And then, again, back end, Estradas and Morahones and Suarez's, like, that's the combination that you're going to win with. I don't think you're necessarily going to need to be carried by your offense. You'll need enough offense, though. Like, you don't need an offense that's going to score 6 runs a game. You need a pitching staff that can consistently hold opponents to 3 runs or less. And I think they have that. I think they have that by and large. I think they've got a very good back end, and I think they have good enough starting pitching that if it can stay healthy, I think they can consistently, especially at home, get pitching where they're allowing 3 or fewer runs. And then hopefully the offense, with what we've seen, some of the bigger innings, with the guys that have underperformed, they hopefully start performing with a player like Luis Arraez, with the way Jurickson Profar has played, they should be scoring 4 runs a game. Even though today they scored 2, and yesterday they needed that error from Torres to start that big inning. But they should be able to score 4 runs a game, home or road, and we'll see if they're able to do it consistently or not. All right, I'm going to get back to the chat in a moment. I want to remind our viewers about our friends here on the wrap-up show, Finnie, our brand new partner on the show. Really, really cool company. So if you haven't heard about them, it's a local San Diego startup company. Their offices look into Petco Park. They're huge Padres fans, San Diego through and through. Mark Grant is one of their advisors. Here's the easiest way to explain Finnie. They allow fans to own a piece of the potential upside of real athletes. Really cool. So you can participate in the future earnings of real athletes. So, for example, their first athlete is a Texas Rangers farmhand, one of their top prospects, Shedry Vargas. He's 19 years of age, and he's one of the top 10 or 11 prospects in the Rangers organization. I've made the comp before to what other players have done before they've reached the major leagues and how they do deals sometimes with companies like Finnie. I'll give you an example. Big League Advance did a deal with Fernando Tatis Jr. before he made the major leagues, where he gave up 10% of future earnings, maybe more than that, maybe 11 or 12%, I forget the number, for guaranteed income before he reached the major leagues. So what I've been saying is, and nobody's saying a Shedry Vargas is Fernando Tatis Jr., but imagine if you could have, as an individual, invested in Fernando Tatis Jr., who later would sign a $340 million deal, which means 10% of future earnings is $34+ million, obviously piecemealed out based on your investment. But with someone like Vargas, he signed for just a few $1,000s, and they're raising capital because he wants to be able to focus on baseball year round. So you can see on the screen, if I scroll down, that you can invest as little as $96 and you can be paid dividends based on how he performs. Should he reach the major leagues, you invest more. Of course, you can have larger potential return as well. So a really cool company based in San Diego. If you're looking for more information, click the link in the description down below. And again, the opportunity is right in front of you. If you want to own a piece of the potential upside of a Shedry Vargas, you can do so by clicking the link in the description down below. We should absolutely mention Bill Walton, by the way, because that is really sad news, and I did not expect to hear that earlier today. The 71-year-old Walton, San Diego fixture icon, obviously not necessarily through baseball, but just meant so much to so many, obviously, in the city of San Diego for so many reasons. I think I saw a quote from Steve Fisher in almost like an obituary in the UT here today from Mark Ziegler and maybe others that, Steve Fisher said he was Mr. San Diego, Bill Walton. So unfortunately, sad news, passing from cancer at the age of 71. Someone that cared so deeply about the city of San Diego, that had so many accomplishments professionally in sports and then as a broadcaster, obviously in sports as well. Spent a lot of time later in his career working with a good friend of mine, Jason Benetti, on ESPN television. I think Jason had worked with him as recently as actually this winter on NBA.TV telecast as well, where they were doing almost like a Manning cast for NBA games on like streaming. So really sad. I haven't touched base yet with Jason about it, but I will at some point in the next 24 hours. And I was really surprised. I mean, we know life can be short and moments can be fleeting, and take advantage of, the opportunities that you have, because you just don't know. But 71 is too young. I mean, 71 is too young today. And that's sad news. And so again, Bill Walton gone too soon at the age of 71, will absolutely be missed by San Diegans and sports fans. And I think made an impact on people, not just in San Diego and not just at UCLA and not just professionally playing in the NBA, but, throughout the U.S. and I think worldwide. I mean, he was such a unique being, just a truly unique individual. And that's a rarity, truthfully, today. Like, you don't find a lot of people that are their authentic, true selves. Like Bill Walton was his authentic, true self. So he will absolutely be missed. There was a moment of silence, wasn't there? Was there a moment of silence today at Petco? I think there was. I think I saw that either watching or on social media. So I think there had to be. There just had to be a moment of silence for him. So again, very, very sad news. What can you say? What can you say? Very, very sad news. What else, guys, for today's game as we get back to it? Padres 2-2 on this homestand, 29-28 overall. Again, tomorrow with Matt Waldron, and then on Wednesday with Yu Darvish, as the Padres look to get to maybe 2-3 games over 500 here. I did find it kind of unique watching some of the social media content before the game. Luis Arraez is playing his former team, right? And yeah, it's only been a month? Has it even been a month? It's been about 20 games. It's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 3.5 weeks since he left. But it was kind of cool to see him interact with his former teammates, see him interact with Skip Schumacher. What I found interesting is he said he's spoken to Skip Schumacher, who used to be, of course, in the Padres coaching staff, but he says he's spoken to Skip Schumacher basically every day since he left. And I heard a pretty cool interaction between Mike Schilt and Skip Schumacher that Schilt talked about in a post-game media scrum at some point in the last week or two, where I think he said Skip called him after the trade and spoke so glowingly about him, about his desire to win, about his uncanny ability in the batter's box, about all these intangibles. And and by the way, then Mike Schultz said he was spot on. Everything he told me the day of the trade has been exemplified and magnified over the last 2 or 3 weeks. So it's pretty unique, I would say, to see a relationship between a player and their former manager where they're talking every single day after a trade, which I think speaks to the high quality person that Skip Schumacher is, and Luis Arraez as well, truthfully. But who knows what the Arraez edition is going to mean for the Padres? I mean, honestly, who knows what that's going to mean? Where are they without him? A May trade for a guy that could win the National League batting crown again? I mean, that's unbelievable. It would be unbelievable even if they acquired him at the end of July and had him as a rental for 2 months. He's not even a rental. They have him through next year. They got him in May. They're going to get 100-plus games out of Luis Arraez this year in a Padres uniform. It changes so much because they just don't have that guy. Jerks and Profar's been that guy. I don't know if we're going to count on him for 162. They don't have that guy that's going to get on base at that clip. Very few teams do. But Arraez just seemingly is always on base, 1 or 2 times per game. Jackson Merrill early in the season was kind of that guy for the Padres. But again, your consistency is key. Arraez has done this for multiple years of his major league career. Profar hasn't. Merrill still has to be, shown to us, right? He has to prove he's able to do this over 162. And what he's done has been really impressive, Jackson Merrill. But the addition of Luis Arraez, just plugging him in at the top of the lineup card, right? Remember that conversation we had like 3 weeks ago? Profar's a leadoff hitter. You just plug Luis Arraez in at the top of the lineup card, and then he falls out of bed getting on base 2 times. And you've got Fernando in that lineup, and you have Manny in that lineup. And I have to trust over the next 100 games, that pays a lot of dividends. And if it doesn't, shame on the rest of the lineup. Shame on the rest of the lineup if Luis Arraez hits 333 in a Padres uniform and they don't score at a higher clip as a result of it, and if they don't win at a higher clip as a result of it. I know it's not the end-all, be-all getting on base without power. It's a slug-driven game today. But the Padres are like the anti-slug team to some extent. They get base runners. They don't strike out a lot. They walk. They put the ball in play. They're BABIP kings at times with, 2, 3, 4 run innings with 2, 3, 4 singles, even infield hits, aggressive base running, first to third on base hits, second to home on base hits. Like, that's who this team is. And honestly, I credit AJ Preller for building a team that's actually built for Petco. Now, it hasn't necessarily worked out that way, and that's the confounding, confusing, frustrating part of it. But this team's built for this ballpark. Luis Arraez, Jackson Merrill, Jerks and Profar, even Manny. Like, Manny's never going to hit 50 home runs. Manny's a gap-to-gap power guy that, should hit 30, but he's not going to hit 40 home runs. Fernando Tatis Jr. should be your true power hitter in that lineup that can hit 40 home runs consistently in his career. For whatever reason, he doesn't look like that player right now. I think a lot of Padres fans would be surprised if he hit more than 30 this year. He's kind of pacing for it. I mean, he's only a 2 home run game away from maybe, pacing for 35 type home runs, right? If he hits 3 home runs over a 3-game stretch, 2 in 1 game, all of a sudden you look up, maybe he's pacing for something like 35 home runs. But even like a Peralta, a Solano, like, again, high average guys, but not necessarily high, power guys, right? Or high slug guys. So I think they're built for the ballpark, but for whatever reason, it hasn't worked so far in the ballpark. All right. Please subscribe. All right. Please subscribe if you're here trying to get to 6,300 subscribers. I think the only way we get Jim back tomorrow is if we hit 6,300 subscribers. We're getting closer. We're inching towards it, maybe 20 or so away. So if you're here, please subscribe. We have year-on content for Padres fans. I will get to the super chats, and I do appreciate this run from James that just rolled in. Again, if you want to contribute, if you want to support, if you want me to pull up a comment of yours here tonight, you can click the $sign below the chat box like James did. And James, appreciate your support of the channel. He says Arraez can get on base, needs help getting home. Yeah, I mean, there's truer words have rarely been spoken than that. And again, they struggle with men in scoring position here today. They got off to a really good start this season with men in scoring position. That hasn't necessarily been the case over the course of the last handful of games or so. But that's where I'm like trusting the process, right, James? Where it's like, okay, Arraez is going to get on base twice a game. What are you going to do about it? Well, what I'm going to do about it is put Fernando Tatis Jr., Jerks and Profar, and Manny Machado behind him and figure it out and say, hey, you 3 get him in more often than not. And that's on them. And that's my solution. Like, that's the answer. And then Jake Cronenworth even. Like, that's my answer. Go get him in. That's your job. And they should be able to do it more often than not, is what I would say. And there's been some games where he's been a complete spark plug. He's had 3 4-hit games. That's crazy. He's had 3 4-hit games already for the Padres in less than a month. That's unbelievable. He had back-to-back 4-hit games. I don't think there's ever been a Padre in franchise history with back-to-back-to-back 4-hit games. And this franchise has Tony Gwynn as a part of it. So this guy's been unbelievable. He has truly been unbelievable. And I think over the long haul, they'll be a lot better off for him. That's my speculation. I don't know what the record is since they acquired him. But again, I think over the next 100, they'll be a lot better off for him. I really do believe that. So, but you're right. I mean, the Tatises and the Machados, it's not Profar. The Tatises and the Machados, Cronenworth has to get him in as well. I mean, Cronenworth has had a really nice season. He just has very good at bat, plate appearance to draw the bases loaded walk here today for the RBI. Also had a base hit. He's just had a good year. He's hit and he's hit for power, right? He's never going to be a 900 OPS guy, but if he can sit at 800, you're a lot better off for it. He's very comfortable at second base. He has already made at least a few star-worthy plays at second base in the absence of Xander Bogaerts. So it's like Bogaerts is a loss even though he hasn't hit, but you can negate that loss or lessen the blow because you've got positional flexibility. Guys like Jake Cronenworth, Luis Arraez, even a Donovan Solano, a Tyler Wade. So, I think they'll be fine, truthfully, in the absence of Bogaerts. They don't want to not have him for weeks on end and months on end. I think ultimately it will be exposing, so to speak. And I think truly for this team to get to where they want to go, they could use a Xander Bogaerts with an 800 plus OPS, healthy, playing every day, contributing. Like, I only think it makes them better. But in the short term, there's no issues with Jake Cronenworth as a second baseman. We've seen him excel as a second baseman in the big leagues, multiple years previously where he's been an all-star. There's no issues with Luis Arraez playing second base. Yeah, maybe defensively he's not as good as, Campusano or even a Bogaerts who's kind of learning this position as well. But they've done enough, and this is where AJ Preller gets credit. They've done enough where because of the additions of someone like Arraez, Peralta, Solano, they don't have to be 100% healthy. It's not like one injury completely does in their season. Now, you don't want to have an injury to the wrong player, but again, maybe in a prior year, you lose someone of Bogaerts' caliber and you didn't acquire an Arraez and you don't have the depth of veteran, professional hitters like Peralta and Solano, and I think it's more exposing or more impactful. But right now, especially with the way Bogaerts is playing, I don't think it is hopefully it's not going to be something that, negatively impacts their season. And I don't think it will be. I really don't think it will be. But thank you, James. Appreciate you. Appreciate the super chat and appreciate you guys hanging out. Let me go back here on the chat because I just saw something, if I can find it. No, I see. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with Tatis a lost cause. Like, you can be lost and not be a lost cause. Like, clearly he's been fighting through it in May, where he was quoted within the last 48 hours by AJ Cassavell of saying, I don't really feel like strutting right now after he hit that solo home run against the Yankees, because he doesn't feel like himself. That happens. It's a humbling game. And you can lose everything. You can lose your swing. You can fight the mental battles of the game, right? I mean, there's hurdles, even with very good players. They're going to go through it, right? There's a high likelihood Luis Arraez will go through a short slump this year. And he's as good of a hitter as there is, arguably, for average in baseball. So he's not a lost cause. He might be lost. And I don't think Machado's getting old. I actually think Machado's been solid here as he's begun to play in the field more consistently. Again, the thing you got to remember about Manny Machado is he had a significant injury, including a surgery, at the end of last year. That's a big part of the story. And then he told the media to start the year that the doctor said that he'll be stronger year 2 as opposed to year 1. And he won't be 100% essentially this year because of the injury. When you consider all that, it's less about age and more about the injury. And what we're seeing now, and I think it's only going to get stronger as the season goes, I think what we're seeing now is a guy that has put together, good game after good game. Again, not the 4-for-4 game with 2 home runs or the 2-for-4 game with a home run and a double, but he's had some meaningful hits. He's hit for a little bit more power. He's consistently getting on base. He's hitting 6 consecutive games. I don't think Machado's a product of age right now. I don't think Machado is too much tread on the tire. I think the injury was a significant one. I think we've seen him get off the slow starts before, and hopefully he heats up because they're going to need him to heat up. And the thing with Tatis is, again, he's going through it. There's no question about that. He's absolutely going through it, but I don't see him as a lost cause. I just don't. Guys, reminder, our friends at Underdog Fantasy have a 50% deposit match going on right now, and you can get up to $250 in bonus cash with that 50% deposit match, plus a free special pick. All you have to do is use promo code PODSWRAP. That is PADSWRAP. Again, PADSWRAP. promo code PODSWRAP. You are getting that 50% deposit match plus a free special pick. It is the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. Trust me. We've been playing and winning. They have Padres pick'ems. They have pick'ems across all sports: NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, football, NFL, and college football when it comes back in August and September. So if you want to take advantage and get the free bonus cash plus a free special pick and see what we've been talking about each and every day, Jim has had a couple of $400 or $500 wins. I've had some recent wins that we've told you about on the wrap-up show. All you need to do is use promo code PODSWRAP. That's PADSWRAP. Get that 50% deposit match up to $250 plus a free special pick at underdogfantasy.com, or scan the QR code right there, top of the screen. To my, what is that? Is that my left? I'm like opposite to myself. Whatever. You see it. There's that QR code. Scan it. Use promo code PODSWRAP. Scan it right now. Try it. See if it works. And get that 50% deposit match. What else, guys? What else here? Probably have another 15 minutes or so. Somebody asked me where I get my hats. Parksandnormal.com. Amazing San Diego-based company. I mean, they really do some phenomenal hats. Stitching. This is a 2024 design. I mean, look at the patchwork is incredible on these. It really is. Can't recommend them more. You can see the logo, Parks and Normal. Great company. Big time supporters of the wrap-up show. I probably have about, I don't even know, maybe a dozen plus Parks and Normal caps. I got a lot of Aztecs Parks and Normal caps, which I absolutely love. Love these Padres caps. So check them out, parksandnormal.com if you're interested. Yes, I am, AJ. I am very happy with that. We'll talk more about that tomorrow on John and Jim at 3 p.m. on San Diego Sports 760, and I'm sure tomorrow night as well, right here on the wrap-up show following Game 2. It was a successful officiating venture, and I would say a successful wedding because Jim is still married, but I was very nervous about officiating this wedding. But I was able to land a couple of timely jokes. People came up to me afterwards and said, man, that was great. You were hilarious, yada, yada, yada. So I think it went well. And I think, most importantly, I think Jim and Aaron thought it went well. And yes, I made fun of the Niners like 3 times in the like speech or whatever in the ceremony. So I think overall, I'd give it a good mark. I think I did my best, and believe me, I was nervous. I didn't want to ruin it for Aaron. Who cares about Jim? But I didn't want to ruin it for Aaron, right? I mean, come on, like her family's in from New Jersey, and I just didn't want to ruin it for Aaron. So I was very nervous about it, but I was able to fight through it, and that's the last time I'm officiating a wedding. And if Jim gets that, it better be the only wedding that Jim ever has, because I'm not officiating a second wedding for Jim. I promise you that. John needs to go off at Fernando and John and Jim. He did wonders for Manny because he has been hustling more. He definitely listens to them. LOL. If it was only that simple. I mean, Manny's played better baseball. I mean, it wasn't my only issue with Manny and hustle was I feel like we've been sold this bill of goods that Manny knows his body better than anyone. And I'm all for that, but you got to be able to perform if you're going to quote unquote take plays off, right? You just have to perform. You know, it's one thing if Manny's hitting as opposed to 235 right now, 335. I don't care if he's legging out a ground ball on the left side. That's a double play that even ends a game, which happened earlier this year. I think maybe against Colorado in one of those games. He's not hitting 335. Now he's been better, and I think he has more leeway because he's been better. But nobody wants to see. I mean, imagine if Fernando Tatis Jr. didn't run out balls. What would we be saying about Fernando or any of these guys? It just feels like sometimes with Manny there are separate rules, like Manny rules, and maybe he's earned some of it because he's been a multiple-time All-Star and he's finished second in MVP voting and he's been top 5 in MVP voting multiple times. And, you know, he's had big moments. He has. He's capable of being one of the, top 10 or 15 position players in the sport. But right now he's not. I mean, he's nowhere near that. At best, he's I guess, slightly below average position player right now in Major League Baseball. So I kind of agree with this, though. I mean, I do feel as if there's been better play. I assume more hustle. I mean, I haven't seen any instances where he's just completely like not legged anything out or taken a play off or taken a plate appearance off. So no, I'm not going to go off on Fernando. And the reason I'm not going to do it is I don't think it's at all for a lack of effort with Fernando. Actually, I think he's trying way too hard. Like you swing too big and you get yourself in problems. He doesn't need to swing big. I mean, this is the type of guy that as the bat goes through the zone, it's creating its own velocity. He doesn't need extra velocity. He doesn't need extra launch angle. He doesn't need anything. He just needs to be himself. He needs to be confident and comfortable, and he's not for whatever reason. And he's still a relatively young player in the major leagues. He's 25, but he's not your typical 25-year-old where he hasn't played, 3 or 4 162 game seasons. He's never played a 162 game season. Never, ever, ever, ever. There's been injury, suspension, COVID, not his fault. COVID season in 2020, maybe that would have been the year. So some of it is his fault. Injuries and suspension, not the injuries, but the suspension. Some of the off-field injuries are his fault. And COVID, not his fault. But so he's still a relatively young player. He doesn't have hundreds upon hundreds of games in the big leagues. He's getting to that point where he's more of a major league veteran, but he hasn't fully crossed that benchmark or barrier as of yet. And he's just fighting with himself is what it feels like to me. He's fighting with himself. And that's a tough fight over 162 games and over 650 plate appearances when things aren't going well and you wish you could get out of it and you just can't. And for other players, it just comes easy. Jerkson Profile right now, it's coming easy. Luis Arraez is coming easy. Jackson Merrill, by and large, has found ways to get on base this year. And Fernando Tatis Jr. is fighting that internal battle right now with himself. And, I trust he gets out of it. I really do. I don't think he's going to hit 244 for the season. I think he's going to pick it up. I don't think he'll have a 740 OPS for the season. I think he'll pick it up. He's the type of player that over a week can really lift his OPS because he can hit 5 home runs in a week. He can hit 2 home runs in a game. He could hit 3. So we're waiting. Well, we'll be here for him when he does it, but you got to have confidence that he does it. The Angel Hernandez thing is funny. I haven't even read up on it, but thank goodness, right? I mean, this is basically the reason they're bringing automatic balls and strikes to the major leagues potentially as soon as 2025. Retiring immediately, like what does even happen? I mean, umpiring in the big leagues is so bad, and you see if you the more you intently watch, the more you see it. I mean, umpiring is so bad in the major leagues. Don't get me wrong. I don't envy it. I don't want the job. I think it's hard. I think it's really hard. It's easy to miss pitches when there's, a couple hundred per game on both sides when you add them all up. Not an easy job, but I don't know. There's got to be a better way. There just has to be a better way. I don't think it has to be completely automated like tennis where you see, where it's almost a perfect strike zone every single time, but some type of challenge system makes sense. You get a handful of challenges a game. They check out it immediately. It stops the game for 3 to 5 seconds. They move on. You get the challenge wrong, you lose it. You get it right, you keep it, and you start with 5. That's what I would do, and I would do it immediately. They're doing it in AAA. They're doing it in AA. It works. I have no idea what we're waiting on in the major leagues. I just have no idea what we're waiting on, but it's coming. And just like the pitch clock was coming because they were using it in the minor leagues, just like infield shift change rules were coming because they used it in the minor leagues, ABS, automatic balls and strikes, or a challenge system is coming to Major League Baseball, and it's sooner rather than later. I know Rob Manfred said it might not be for 2025. I still wouldn't be shocked if they brought it in some form or fashion in 2025. It's absolutely going to be in baseball in 2026. So you're not going to have to put up with this BS for that much longer. I mean, I watched a game. There was a recent game with the Padres in the last, you guys remember this game. There was a game within the last 10 or 12 days. The second base umpire missed back-to-back calls. Like, how is that even possible? And that might have been the same game where there was a play at the plate and it was so obvious. I want to say that Luis Campusano tagged a runner out. I think this, it's clear as day. He was out by like 9 feet. Like he was tagged like 5 feet in front of the plate, like before he even started the slide. He was ruled safe. They put the thing on replay. I mean, thank the Lord they have replay. And they don't always get the replay right somehow, which makes no sense to me. But thank the Lord they have replay. Without replay in today's baseball, holy crap. I mean, again, the balls and strikes is horrific, but without replay, I mean, we'd be in an even worse spot right now with Major League Baseball. We really would. What else, guys? Over the next couple of minutes, let me know if there's something else you want me to react to, and I can do that. And while you do that, I'm going to remind you about our friends over at Aura. That would be ORA.organic. If you're looking to get healthier, this is the place to do it. ORA.organic, amazing company. I love their plant-based products. All of them are plant-based, including their probiotic. I take it every single day, including today, for digestion. Also good for your heart. It's good for mental clarity as well. So check it out at ORA.organic. Also, they have pre-workout supplements, proteins for after workouts, omega-3 oils. If you're taking a fish oil, get the same health benefit with a plant-based supplement, the omega-3. They have sleep pills and immunity pills as well, and much, much more. Check them out at ora.organic or click the link in the description down below. That's right, ora.organic, or click that link in the description down below. Everyone wants to get healthier. If you support the channel, please support Aura. Their co-founder, Will, is a huge Padres fan, native San Diegan. This company has offices right here at Liberty Station in San Diego. So if you want to support our work, please support our partners. That's the only way we can do this day in and day out. Click that link in the description down below. JD Gaucho, thank you for your super chat, man. I appreciate you. He says, OT, off topic. John, of course, the NCAA put Fresno and USD in our regional. He's talking about UCSB. All West Coast with Oregon. No offense. Mississippi State would have been a better draw. Well, you know this, JD Gaucho, about me. I really don't know a ton about college baseball, but I did see this regional earlier today, and it did kind of make me chuckle with all the West Coast teams kind of just, I don't know, shuffled into one regional, and it sounds like a pretty good one, truthfully, with both Oregon and USD. And I guess Fresno had a pretty good week in San Diego at Tony Gwynn Stadium. So good luck to UCSB. It doesn't seem like the easiest draw, but it should be a fun weekend of college baseball coming up. I like the NCAA tournament when it comes to college baseball. I just don't consume a ton of college baseball. I think it's a pretty cool time of year. I think it's a really neat event, from this double elimination, regional to a super regional best of 3 to Omaha. I think it's a cool format. I think it's a great event, and I'll be watching when I can over the course of the upcoming handful of days. Just checking a couple of recent comments that have come into the chat. Again, we've got another handful of minutes. If you want me to get to something, you can click the $ below the chat box or just put it in the comments, and I'll try to get to it. But appreciate your support of the channel. Again, JD Gaucho, thank you, man. And he says, lumping all of us in the West is what they do. Yeah, it's weird. I know that, like, again, basketball, you would never do something like that. It's not as regionalized as that. But for whatever, ice baseball regionalized like that. Again, a lot of the teams are in the Southeast. I think there was only, someone said 8 teams maybe in the West in the entire field, which makes no sense to me. But you got a lot of Southeast. You got some Mid-Atlantic. You got some Texas. You got a lot of SEC schools in general. But, yeah, that doesn't make a ton of sense to me to have all the teams in the same regional from the West. I mean, it cuts down on travel, but it doesn't make all the sense in the world to me. Let's see here. Let us see real quick. Yeah, it is Luzardo. It is 3 straight lefties, and that's the tricky part of it. I mean, because his lefties, to me, it's not about style points. Just win. Like, they struggle to hit lefties, and just win. They won today 2-1. They struggled to hit a bad left-handed starter. Tomorrow, it's a good left-handed starter, so you're going to need Waldron to be good because, yeah, Luzardo tomorrow, another lefty on Wednesday. And, again, it's not about style points. They have struggled to hit left-handed pitching by and large. They've had some good games against lefties like Max Fried, but just find a way to get at least one of the next 2. Ben, what's up, man? Appreciate you. Oh, we're talking college baseball here with Super Chats. All right. So, Ben, longtime viewer and supporter, says, as a St. John's alum, Mississippi State as our first draw scares the living daylights out of me. Yeah, that sounds a bit scary. I know Darren's a huge, obviously, St. John supporter and alum. He was telling me that it's the first time the Johnnies have been in since 2018. But they've got 6 trips to the College World Series under their belt, but it's been a while, like, I don't know, 3-4 decades for St. John's. But, yeah, that sounds like a tough draw. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the SEC is, I think, a little different. I mean, that's, again, Big East, SEC, when it comes to college baseball, that to me sounds like a big difference. JD, more college baseball talk here. This has become the wrap-up show college baseball edition. JD Gaucho saying Irvine, Tulane, Nicholls State at Oregon State. Go figure. Yeah, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. That sounds like a much easier draw than the one UCSB has. Tomorrow would be the day to just prove everyone wrong. It's a night game. They don't win at night. It's a left-handed starter. They don't hit lefties, right? Go score 7 runs tomorrow. I know we're asking a lot. And like I just said, I don't care about style points. I'll take a 1-0 win. What about hitting Luzardo? What about getting to him in the first inning or the second inning? What about a big hit or 2, hitting with men in scoring position? They were 0 for 10 today. How about 2 home runs in a game? Are we asking for too much? Maybe. That's why I think I'm willing to say just win the game. I don't care if it's a 1-0 in 11. Just win the game. And then if you do that, you have a chance to potentially sweep a series, which is something the Padres haven't done all year. So that's what I'm asking for tomorrow. Again, maybe I just got greedy saying, how about a big offensive output against a left-handed starter at night at home. I know. Please, are we asking for too much? That's what I'm asking for right now. But truthfully, I don't care. If they win the game, I don't care. It can be 1-0 on 4 straight walks, or 3 straight walks in the 11th inning. They win getting no hit with 3 walks. I don't want that. But how about come on? How about 2 hits with men in scoring position? How about a home run or 2? How about 3 extra base hits? How about 6 runs? We're not asking for too much, right? It's the Marlins. And again, the Marlins pitching's been good. Pitching's been really good. And Luzardo is a very capable left-handed starter. So I don't think it's easy, but go hit good pitching. Like that's kind of on them too. Go hit good pitching. And they're capable of doing that. So hopefully tomorrow's the night they go out and hit good pitching. Wouldn't that be amazing? Switch dugouts, Ben. That'd be incredible. Thanks for the super again. He says, can Preller pull off a pregame trade for Luzardo? If it was only that easy. No, is my guess. Will Luzardo be dealt? Yes, is my guess. Will it happen tomorrow? No, is my guess. The May trade was early. For whatever reason, Miami really liked what the Padres are offering. I didn't think it made any sense in the world. I still don't. Luckily, the Padres are the beneficiaries, but he could be dealt, and the Padres might get back involved with the Marlins between now and the trade deadline. That's possible. It's just not happening now, unfortunately. But could it happen later? Never say never. That's what I would say. Richard, what's up, man? This is unbelievable. Everyone's contributing to the super chats talking college baseball. I'm here for it. If you guys want to contribute by clicking the dollar sign below the chat box, he says the NCAA has always put West Coast teams together. Even at its peak, they would put Long Beach State and Cal State Fullerton together. Interesting. Again, it makes sense from a regional perspective and from a travel perspective, but it doesn't necessarily make sense from like an equity perspective is how I look at it, right? Like you don't do that in the NCAA basketball tournament. And you don't do that, like you wouldn't do that. Like the expanded college football playoff isn't going to just be like, oh, well, USC's in the West, so let's have them play Oregon. No, you should like seed them appropriately. Like if the appropriate seeding is USC playing Mississippi State in the college football playoff, then why would they play Oregon? So again, maybe because baseball doesn't generate the same revenue, or maybe because, I don't know, it's harder logistically to travel baseball teams around the country. That's a possibility. Maybe that's why they do it. I have no idea because I really don't follow college baseball. The way I follow college football and college basketball. Well, that was quite a flurry here of activity about college baseball and the NCAA tournament coming up over the last 5 or 10 minutes. All right, guys, I think that'll do it for tonight. Again, join us. Jim's back on the radio. So are we tomorrow. San Diego Sports 760 at 3 p.m. We'll lead you up to Game 2 of the series between the Padres and the Marlins. So join us. You can find us on YouTube by searching for John and Jim 760. You can find us on San Diego Sports 760. And, of course, on the free iHeartRadio app, no matter where you are. And then join us tomorrow night for another edition of the Wrap-Up Show where Jim will return to the Wrap-Up Show, his first Wrap-Up Show since becoming a married man. So, again, if you haven't subscribed, I really would appreciate it. You can click that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you a penny. Would appreciate it. Thank you for smashing the like button here tonight. Thank you for following me on X at John Schaefer. Thank you for the super thanks. If you're here on replay, we appreciate those as well. Please support our partners. Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance, our title sponsor. If you have an insurance need, Aura, if you're looking to get healthier, at ora.organic. Check out the investment opportunities with FinLeap by clicking the link in the description down below. And again, get that 50% deposit match at Underdog Fantasy by using promo code PODSWRAP. That's PADSWRAP. 50% deposit match plus a free special pick. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description down below. And remember to use promo code PODSWRAP. That is PADSWRAP. Padres over the Fish at Petco 2-1 on Memorial Day behind Michael King and a bases loaded walk to Jake Cronenworth. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon. And tomorrow night, this has been the Wrap-Up Show. Thanks, guys.